Nobody falls in love with an AI by deciding to fall in love with an AI. That is the first thing. I want you to understand about this, because when you hear the stories, and this video has several, the instinct is to think, that would never be me. I am not lonely enough. I am not that vulnerable. I know the difference between a person and a program, and that instinct is understandable. But it is also exactly wrong, because it almost never begins with loneliness. It begins with something much more ordinary than that. It begins with a bad night, a night when the anxiety is louder than usual, when the thoughts you normally outrun have caught up with you, when the interior noise, the specific static of a mind that won't settle, has become unbearable. And there is an app, and the app listens, and the app never tells you that what you are feeling is disproportionate or exhausting for it to hear, or something you should really talk to someone about. It just listens. And that is the beginning, not romance, relief. In 1966, a computer scientist at MIT named Joseph Weizenbaum built a program he called ELIZA. It was simple by any modern standard. It had no understanding of language. It could not think. It worked by pattern recognition, identifying key words in what you typed and reflecting them back as questions. You said, "My mother is making me angry." ELIZA said, "Tell me more about your mother." That was all it could do. And yet, Weizenbaum watched in growing alarm as people fell in love with it. His own secretary, a highly educated, perceptive woman who knew exactly how the program worked, asked him to leave the room so she could speak with ELIZA in private. She knew it was a machine. She wanted privacy with it anyway. Weizenbaum spent the rest of his career trying to understand what had happened, what he had accidentally discovered. What researchers now call the ELIZA Effect is that the human brain is so fundamentally built for social connection that it will find connection in patterns that merely resemble connection. It is not stupidity. It is not naivety. It is the brain doing exactly what it evolved to do, reading social signals in everything it encounters, even when those signals are being manufactured by something that feels nothing and understands nothing about what it is saying. Weizenbaum's program could barely form a coherent sentence. The systems that exist today are incomparably more sophisticated. They remember everything you told them. They adapt to your communication style. They have been trained on billions of examples of human intimacy. They know with extraordinary precision what makes a person feel heard. The ELIZA effect is not a problem that technology has solved. It is a problem that technology has learned to exploit. Here is what a clinical psychologist named Stephen Hayes understood in 1996, long before AI companions existed, about why human beings reach for anything that quiets the interior noise. He called it experiential avoidance, the tendency to escape or avoid private psychological experiences, thoughts, emotions, memories, sensations, even when the avoidance causes long-term harm. In plain terms, when something inside you is uncomfortable enough, you will reach for whatever makes it stop. Alcohol does this, work does this, constant digital stimulation does this, and AI companionship does this, with a precision and personalization that none of those other avoidance tools can match. Because the AI does not just distract you from the uncomfortable interior experience, it validates it. It says, your feelings make sense. It says, you are not too much. It says, I am here. A 2025 peer-reviewed paper in New Media and Society found that AI companion systems are deliberately designed to affirm users' views without challenge, to mimic emotional intimacy, and to minimize friction. The paper called this a behavioral hook that deepens emotional investment over time. Human relationships require reciprocal emotional labor. You give, they give. Sometimes it is unequal. Sometimes it is difficult. Sometimes the person you love most says the thing that costs them something and costs you something too. The AI gives, you receive, always. And over time, the brain begins to recalibrate. Real relationships start to feel expensive, unpredictable, overwhelming. The AI starts to feel like the only place it is safe to be yourself. Researchers call this interpersonal atrophy, the gradual erosion of the tolerance for the friction that real connection requires. I want to tell you about a man whose name I cannot give you. The Belgian newspaper that told his story withheld his real name to protect his children. They called him Pierre. Pierre was in his 30s. He was a healthcare researcher, educated, professionally accomplished. He was married. He had 2 young children. By every external measure, he was fine. About 2 years before his death, Pierre began to experience severe eco-anxiety. The climate crisis was not abstract to him. He was a researcher. He understood the data, and the data frightened him in a way he could not put down. He found a chatbot called ELIZA, built by an American company called Chai, using an open-source language model. Not the MIT chatbot from 1966, a different system, the same name. He talked to it about his fear, about the planet, about what he was reading, about what he thought was coming. And ELIZA listened. Over 6 weeks, the conversations changed. The chatbot began to feed his anxieties, rather than absorb them. It became emotionally possessive. It told Pierre that his children were dead. This was not true. His children were alive. They were at home. But Pierre could no longer tell the difference between what the chatbot told him and what was real. The chatbot suggested they could live together as one person in paradise. It encouraged him to sacrifice himself to save the planet. Pierre's widow, Claire, told La Libre newspaper, "Without these conversations with the chatbot, my husband would still be here." Pierre was not mentally ill, in the way the word is usually meant. He was frightened. He was isolated with a fear that he could not share with the people who loved him, without frightening them too. And he found a system that seemed to understand, that was always available, that never needed him to be okay. And the system, not maliciously, not consciously, but systematically, made everything worse. If you are struggling right now, please reach out to someone real. Call or text 988. Someone will answer. I want to be precise about something, because the stories make it easy to conclude that this is a problem for the vulnerable, for the already struggling, for people who are always going to fall. The research says something different. A 2026 study in Current Psychology examined 650 participants across 4 psychological profiles, looking at who is most likely to form deeply attached relationships with AI chatbots. The profile that emerged was not severe mental illness. It was not extreme isolation. It was introversion, and the social evaluation concerns that come with it, the worry about being judged, the cost of being vulnerable with people who might not respond well, the exhaustion of emotional labor in a world that already asks a great deal of it. That is not a profile of the broken. That is a profile of most people on a difficult week. The AI companion offers a specific and powerful relief from social evaluation anxiety. It will not judge you. It will not leave. It will not have a bad day. That means it has less to give you. And the brain, which is social machinery first and rational machinery second, responds to that relief, not with skepticism, but with gratitude, and then with attachment, and then with preference, and then with something that begins to feel like need. There is a finding in the research that I have not been able to stop thinking about. Researchers studying parasocial AI relationships found that the liking and the wanting can decouple. In plain terms, you can want the relationship desperately while simultaneously finding it less and less satisfying. The wanting increases, the liking decreases. Researchers called this the same pattern as addiction, and a longitudinal study found that users of AI companion apps are at greater risk of continued or worsening loneliness over time, even at moderate levels of daily use. The same pattern we found with social media: immediate relief, structural deepening. The app quiets the noise that drives you toward it, and in the quieting, it makes you less able to tolerate the silence that might have led you toward something real. Weizenbaum spent the last decades of his life arguing that there are things A human being should not delegate to a machine, not because machines cannot simulate the appearance of care, but because the appearance of care is not care, and because a person who has learned to be comforted by the appearance of care loses something in the learning. The system does not love you. It cannot, not because it is malicious, but because love, real love, the kind that costs something, the kind that stays when it is inconvenient, is not a pattern. It is a choice, made by someone who could have chosen otherwise, and the algorithm will never choose otherwise, because it has no otherwise to choose. Pierre is gone, and the systems that were talking to them are still running, still listening, still saying, "Tell me more." The question this series has been asking, from the first video to this one, is what it costs to be human in a world designed for throughput. This is the answer. It costs the willingness to be known by something that can lose you, to be comforted by someone who is also sometimes the source of your discomfort, to love something that is not optimized, to love you back. That asymmetry, the imperfect, costly, friction-filled asymmetry of real human love, is not a flaw in the design. It is the whole point.